Got it. Right.
Okay.
Welcome to the Hartland Selectboard August 21st meeting at 5:35. First order of business, the August 8th Selectboard minutes and the August 16th executive session minutes for the Selectboard. I would entertain a motion to put both forward. So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Mandy. Any discussion?
Kurt has a question. Kurt, go ahead and unmute yourself.
I didn't have a question. I was working with Dave. All right.
Oh, we're all set. We're good to go.
Jim, thanks for doing the executive session. Any feedback on the minutes? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Motion passes. Next item are the accounts payable / orders through today, 8/21.
I move to pay the orders today.
Thank you, Clyde. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mandy, thank you. Mark, when is the CCI contract up? Or did we just renew it?
We just renewed it.
Okay.
Do they charge by unit, by computer?
Yes. Yep.
And we continue to see probably 10 grand of road fixes
And more.
and just here, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Are all of the trucking materials and hard packs and subcontracting, is it all related to the storm?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Any questions?
I would presume that the Evans motor fuel was a typo, that we bought fuel and gas from them.
Just fuel. That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. Quarter and quarter we buy gasoline from.
Yeah.
Okay, if there are no additional questions? All in favor of the invoices up through 8/21, say aye. Aye. The motion passes. Okay. Adjustments to the agenda. In a brief discussion with the Planning Commission that Tom had today, we're going to table any appointments until a future meeting. Possibly at that point, we can do the Conservation Commission appointments as well as the Planning Commission, because it will be September. Are there any other adjustments to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, on the public comments. Are there any public comments? Sure.
Sherry Clark, I just have a couple of questions regarding follow-up. On June 19th, you made a motion and did the dog warrants. Where are we on compliance with those?
Oh, we made a motion for on what?
For the dog warrants.
Okay, can you respond to that?
They was turned over to Mr. Dow, and he's sending letters and calling people, and we're trying to get people in to get their dog's license.
But is he reporting to you directly?
He'll be reporting to Brian.
Okay.
Yep.
Could we possibly get a report next meeting, maybe?
Yep, I'll have a report for you at the next meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then the other one on June 19th, there was a discussion regarding Four Corners School.
Yep, so we haven't forgotten about that. We have that down for future agendas. We figured the policing in Hartland was a little bit more important than
So the waiver.
For the Four Corners School or the North Hartland School, did you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Four Corners.
About the lease.
At the
Oh,
least.
lease.
The waiver,
Yeah.
how about the waiver, but you put that on hold. Was there any action taken since then?
Nope,
We have the leases to.
We have the leases.
tonight.
Have they been paying rent?
yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
Oh,
yep.
thank you.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
okay, thank you. Okay, any other public announcements? Kurt, would you unmute Kurt, please?
Yes, just give me a second here, please. Kurt, you have to unmute yourself. It won't let me.
I've unmuted myself. What do you want?
Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is Helen. I had my hand up.
Okay.
Okay, I have two questions. One, I know that you've got the Cowdrey Salvage Yard discussion on agenda for old business, but I was wondering about the other couple places in town that have old junk cars there for a very long time, and I'm sure they're leaking all kinds of stuff into the ground. One is on Mace Hill Road, and the other two, one is in coming into Hartland on Route 5, and the other one is coming into Hartland on Route 12. Has there been discussion or anything about going to the owners to tell them to clean up those properties before that stuff soaks into the ground and you've got a problem with, all the stuff that leak out of old autos? The second thing is, I wonder if we know anything about the property that was due to become a farm stand, in quotes, coming into town from Windsor. Did you hear anything about that? What's happening with that? Please.
On your first question, the state is aware of those areas you're talking about, and they are working with those folks. As far as the Sunnymead, maybe Phil has a little.
I just asked recently, and there's still no judgment on that part. And just, Helen, just to add to what Martin said, it's the Department of Environmental Services, and there's a junkyard group, salvage yard group, excuse me, that, as Martin referred to, they have those properties on their list and they're checking.
All three of those, even the one on Mace Hill, which is between two.
One of them is fairly new, last couple of years, correct?
Pardon me?
He cleans it up and then comes back.
Oh, the one on Mace Hill he's the one that cleans it up and then it comes back?
I don't know if he cleans it up, but every time I go by there, I see it. It looks like they cut the grass and that looks very nice, but the old pieces of junk autos and trucks are still there leaking all kinds of transmission fluids and stuff into the ground. That's what I'm concerned about. Because once that stuff gets in there, you can't get it out.
Yep, we'll take a look into it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Helen.
Have a nice evening.
I'd like to, I think we talked about it last time, but I was asked to officially announce that Tracy Joy is our new Director of Library Services. And Amy Vander Kool, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing the last name correctly, started yesterday as our new youth librarian. So we wish Tracy lots of luck, and Martin and I are working with Tracy on a couple of projects, so it's pretty exciting. I also wanted to publicly thank our John Leonard and his colleagues at the rec department for a very successful summer concert series. There was a lot of attendance, and there's a food truck there last night. So successful, they ran out of food.
Were they raising money for something? Did I see that on social media?
Agent and Hartland had worked with the food truck, and half the proceeds from the sale of the food went to Agent and Hartland last night. Yes, Dave.
One comment we mentioned the library, Dave Singer, as you know, my wife runs the book sale. The bottom line, not the exact dollar, was about $2,600, which is considered very successful. And I want to thank all the people who helped move the books, and it's appreciated, because myself and my wife at our age, it's tough to carry heavy books. Thank you all.
It's become a part of the old home days tradition to have that, so thank you.
We have extra books if anybody wants to start reading instead of watching TV again.
It's one of the few times I've locked my cars around the book sale, after the book sale, and zucchini seed. Okay, going on to old business. We had the Salvage yard, Mr. Cowdrey is with us tonight. Dave, we're going to have a discussion tonight. Both Jim Riley and I have been working on the approved location for Salvage yard, the coal. And you have a copy there. So what we're planning on doing this evening is having a group discussion. Hopefully, what will emerge would be the suggested final changes to the document, and then we would seek review by our legal counsel to make sure that it's all straightforward. We also have a final vote to either go forward or not with the coal. So that's what we're up to tonight. Okay. Jim helped me with this. We didn't create a Christmas tree just for the sake of using a lot of ink, but I try to capture what we were deleting from the very original 2021 document. And what we're doing today, so I don't know how familiar my colleagues are with it. I'd be happy to either step through it or just answer questions.
So I think if we just kind of step through it, right? I think the first suggestion is the items highlighted in blue really apply to the last application, not the current. So the suggestion is to delete those items that were in blue and really replace them with the ones right underneath them that are in red, which are really the current site visit.
Yeah, and also what's in yellow just above the blue, which is a summary, an attempt at a summary of what those other blue paragraphs would be, that after a site visit, a public hearing, and discussion by the select board. The goal was approved by him in November 2021, and Mr. Cowdrey withdrew the request.
Yeah, my yellow is barely visible.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And then, as Jim said, the first two red paragraphs there really are the procedure that we've been following.
So, under your last red highlighted area, and you have based on most recent, so I believe it wasn't, it was a site visit, wasn't it? Not a site review. That's unclear to me whether we're reviewing a site plan or that was a site visit. And so you have
Yeah, just below the red.
just below the red, and then you have,
Okay, so that's language, so if it's black, it's language from the prior.
right, so I think it should say site visit.
So, yeah, I would agree with you.
And then we have nothing in this document that shows what the evidence was. So what evidence was presented except for what we provided? The applicant did not provide any evidence to provide a verbal testimony.
Yeah, again, it's language from the last.
Yeah, again,
document, so it doesn't apply with
I'm
this
uncomfortable really with anything that was done prior to me coming on the board.
Yeah,
So
sure.
personally, I think the first two paragraphs should go, if we want to have a historical overview. But this is sort of like a zoning permit, and it really should be, here's what we did.
Yeah.
Here's what we heard. Based on that, here's our, our finding in fact, here are the conditions.
Okay, Tom, I would think that the evidence would be the application that the Cowdreys did. There is another document that is associated with that started.
My point is, I think it should be part of this, is I guess what I'm saying. So if we have evidence, we should have the evidence somewhere. So it's a later group to go look at it. And then second, say exhibits, but nowhere in this document is there any attachment A, B, C. There's no exhibits.
Yeah,
Well, it's from the previous, so all the pictures that were done from previous.
Well, again, it's not stated.
Oh, not staying document, yes, you are correct.
Okay, so these, we had things when
I think you could replace the words evidence and exhibits with the word testimony, right? So testimony presented at the hearing.
So we had drawings initially that we had used when we went on the site visit. And then subsequent to that, someone here in the town office changed those and they went, now they're sort of Latin long. Which one of those are we using as evidence?
so we should label the most recent one that came from town, from John's work, which has a longitude and not latitude, the exact coordinates of the corners.
Yeah, and just have date,
We should
just
label
date it and
Yeah.
say exhibit A, exhibit B,
Yep.
et cetera.
Folks are ready. We need clarification on item 6.
Yeah. We'll leave. Yeah, you're right. But again, that red section is from the prior application and the location has changed. And I don't know if we have a firm measurement of how far it is from Route 12 or there as well.
So it's 170 feet from Route 12.
Okay.
So it's over the 100-foot mark.
And we do know that part two to this application would be that the state environmental group that's associated with the salvage yards would actually review this, especially on the water side. That's on their list.
Is it appropriate to ask a question? Sure, Mr. Cowdrey? Yeah. Or should we keep the discussion there?
If it's relevant to item 6, yeah, sure.
So my question is really, I thought, and I don't remember exactly, but when we were up there, there was maybe a building down front from where we were standing, and possibly there used to be a trail there, or still is. Is there a well that feeds those buildings?
Well, that feeds the trailer?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's way up on the hill.
Up on the hill.
Up and back.
Okay. Is that the only structure that gets fed by a well on the property?
That one fed that, and that one feeds the garage.
The same well feeds the garage and the trailer.
And then there's another one that feeds my house.
And where is your house in relationship? Okay. So I think the observation is there are 2 wells on a property. And we need to understand, either us or the state need to understand whether those meet the 300-foot threshold.
Correct. And we don't have any measurements. We have 3 wells on the site map: the Barrows well, the Hill well, and the Cowdrey border well.
But we don't have the well that feeds.
So there's one more.
Is there one more or 2 more? There's one for the trailer and the garage, and one for your house.
What she's asking is there your house? Is there a well for your house?
Yeah.
Do you feed off this well? The Cowdrey Gordon?
No, it's its own separate well.
So we don't have it up. So we don't have it on the picture.
It's a
Is it down here?
drilled well. No, it's up in the shop.
Up by the shop?
Yeah.
So it's up in here somewhere?
Yeah, it's up by the shop.
So yes, it's not on the map.
Yeah.
It's up on the shop.
2.
Okay, so we need to have that.
I mean, I don't know if we start itemizing wells or just say that you reference that the state requires that
Yeah, I think the state's going to take care of the well portion of the coal.
So, I think we could simplify this language, just, kind of say, the 150 by 75 foot area needs to meet state requirements for setbacks from wells.
What was the distance you said it was?
I think the Barrows well is over 300 feet. I'd have to double check for sure.
So from Route 12?
Oh, Route 12 was 171 or 2 feet, I believe. I know it was over 170.
Okay.
How do we do the measurements?
Off of Google.
I'd be careful to quote an exact measurement. I'd say
it's over the 100 feet.
Yeah, I'd just say, maintain state setbacks.
Yeah.
I think I know. I think we can clean up item 6 then.
Yeah.
Okay, then the next item 1, we actually have a site plan.
Right. So you have a new proposal. So below the red.
Below that. Yeah.
And how did John do the coordinates?
I believe off of Google.
Okay, then I'd just be tempted to add the word approximate coordinates in there.
It should be pretty well.
Yeah, they're within 3 feet.
Well, depending on how eerie a mouse finger is.
Yeah, approximate, yeah, put an approximate in there is probably a good idea.
Okay, and then, I inserted a new item 2. And this comes from a discussion with, that person I was talking to here. Ms. Gino. I don't have the title here, but again, the Vermont Department of Environmental Services, Salvage Yard Division. He's the one that actually offered that definition. And Dave, that's something that we talked about at the last joint meeting, that anything that has missing parts, damaged parts, does not run or does not start, goes behind the fence.
Does anybody here know the definition of a classic car?
No, but if it's damaged, missing part, does not run or does not start, it's being held behind the fence.
We just sold a classic car, right, from the car hall from New Jersey to Brooklyn, New York.
Yep. So it's a work in progress, and once it's being worked on, it can be brought into the shop.
And you have so many days if you move it out of the shop after working on it, to bring it back in to work on it.
I think that's not spelled out here,
I believe this is.
but again,
And then you tell me that any garage cannot have any parts outside the garage. So if I pull into another garage and I see somebody with a fender, doors, or something outside the building, they're violating, right?
I think we can go and do this dance all night. If you receive a pallet with a new motor or new fenders, that's going to fix something that's going at, and it sits outside for a short period of time, I think that's a matter of doing business, but if you are disassembling something and leaving a bunch of fenders outside for a period of time, then that's junk, according to this definition.
And it works is you have to do customer work to keep the lights on and stuff.
Sure.
Okay. Then if you get caught up, you got your own stuff. So you're not standing there going down the road, flag down traffic and see if they need something.
Right.
So that's when you get to work on your own stuff.
Correct. So I assume that would come out of the salvage yard into the shop at that time period when you have your schedule allows the work to be done.
But I don't understand where every car has got to be gassed up and ready to go. That's considered a used car, and we just sold a used car to Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, it's not necessarily our definition. I think Phil got this definition from the state, and that's not something we can necessarily control.
Yeah, and we need to be as very clear to you about that this is not we're not pulling this out of thin air. This is what the state, sort of.
Those are just clear to me. Our interest is what's behind the fence.
Correct.
If it's outside the fence, that's V-Trans issue.
Correct.
So you fight with V-Trans.
But when they come down on me
With
first.
the Department of Environmental Services.
Environmental Services.
Yeah.
When they come down on me first, I'm already allowed to have a plow truck that I've been using for 30 years. It's not registered.
Yeah.
But that's pretty bad.
Yeah, you clearly understand, but that's beyond our control. We can't control the state.
I'm just saying, this is the way they think.
Yeah.
And I have another truck I go up on the hill, I lug stuff on, good wood, do everything, it's not registered.
Yeah.
I have 10 acres of land, I can't use my land, can't drive a vehicle on it, not registered.
Okay, Dave, I'm gonna cut you off because I really feel like we've been going back and forth on this, and this is language right from the state, so in that part. And then item 3 builds on that definition. That no junk or salvage vehicle, scrap or other material shall be stored outside of the vehicle storage area.
It's the new one with the GPS coordinates.
Maybe we should change in 3, it's not the revised site plan, it's the recycle. Because we're providing them with the site plan. Right?
Yeah.
Right, in the site.
Yeah, so it's not revised.
No.
But the stuff is undercover to be anyway.
Right. No, this is the salvage yard. It has to
Talking
be
about
placed-
what's gonna be inside the salvage yard right now.
Okay, we're gonna put an addition on the back of the barn when we get to it. You know, be a lean-to. Stuff can be under there.
If it's part of the shop.
If I buy one of those carports, can something be parked under them?
But I don't know that the work qualified to answer that question. Again, yeah,
No, I don't either.
it's probably a question of the state. So,
I just wanna get treated like everybody else,
right.
that's all I ask.
And that's what we're trying. I think,
When they get done with me, I should be able to go around and see everybody's treated the same.
in a perfect world, yes. Okay, going on to item 4.
In here where it said since 1959, you might want to change that to 1964, when the car started appearing.
We have 1994, you know why?
1964.
Okay.
Okay. So Jim, I think what we're saying with item 4 is that we,
I mean, it's up to you guys. I mean, I'm not sure we're gonna be up there doing counts, right? I'm not sure, I'm not sure we even know for sure how many salvage vehicles you have today.
Well, like you said, we just sold that one, and we had a parts car to go with it, and I didn't want it.
Yeah.
So that one's,
Two.
will go this week, if we don't need it. And then, there's a white Mercedes that was sitting out in front, or the white one. We checked that out, and with the broken windshield and a bunch of stuff, we're getting rid of that one this week.
How many do you think you have up there?
I haven't counted them lately, so I don't know.
So I mean, I don't know, I'm not for or against any language at this point. If you want to do something staggered, that's fine, or do you just want to do the target for the enclosed area?
I think it's somewhere in the area of 60 cars,
That you have right now?
something like that probably.
And does that include the salvage and the auto sales business? Or is that
includes
just the
everything that's
salvage?
not a customer's car.
Okay.
Tony told me he's allowed 52 cars on his lot.
So again, I go back to in number 4, do we have jurisdiction over that issue? Or is that a Department of Environmental Conservation issue?
It's my understanding that as long as it's behind the fence, there's any number of vehicles that can be there, as long as they're not stacked up, you can start to see them in that part.
It's basically gonna be a parking lot, you know, I'm not going in the salvage yard business.
Right.
It's basically a parking lot. You know, I'm gonna be moving, ways up there, I'm gonna be moving all the cars out. I got a whole lot of sand and gravel from the towns that wash down the road, cleaning out a couple of culverts, I'm gonna take it up. Even though it's contaminated, I'm gonna spread it around.
So do you guys want to just pick a number from inside the fence?
Do we need to have a number if it's inside the fence?
I don't think so.
I mean, my feeling is
Everything
just gonna
is,
count it and enforce it.
everything is shrinking down, it's never gonna work its way back like it was.
Yeah.
My son said, he's never gonna work like I did.
So I'm hearing that we eliminate the number, which is essentially just remove item 4.
I'll do it with the board, conclude as best. I would suggest that, you know, you had numbers in here for a reason in the past. That suggests that there must be a reasonable number that fits in 11,000
Yeah.
square feet.
So maybe put a question mark for our attorney to see if that's the attorney thinks.
Okay. And I also did reach out to the state to see if they were real reluctant to look at this, but I did not hear back one way or the other.
Vincent counted all the cars when he was there.
How long ago was that?
Yeah, well, you're still under the court order, which is one of the reasons why.
3 weeks ago, he's coming back the first of the month, yeah,
Okay,
but he's not somebody that's willing to talk to, so he's listing customers' cars and stuff like that too. Taking pictures,
okay.
so I don't know what his count is, but you can call him.
I can check on that, and I think it's a good idea
He
to
could tell you
ask legal counsel.
it's not gonna be 100% right, but it'd be close.
Okay,
I just was kind of figuring out the math here. 150 by 75, and we figure the average vehicle is 100 square feet. It allows for up to 112 vehicles within the fence.
With no
That's it
aisles
there.
and over.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean,
And if you
my
look at,
point is,
if you look at a parking lot, you know, you're gonna
Right.
use about half that square footage.
so you say you can have probably 60 cars in there.
Yeah,
It's also going to depend on whether you've got a Buick Roadmaster.
I
from
know,
the
I get
50s
that,
or
I'm
you've
just
got a
trying to,
Fiat.
the testimony is that he has 60 cars,
Yeah.
so he can get most of them in the fence.
But
But then why are we saying he has to get rid of cars that are 89? There's 89
Well,
cars.
yeah, I think A
These
and
numbers
B,
just don't add
yeah,
up.
A and B
Yeah.
comes out for sure.
Well, the cars that start and drive around the yard don't have to be behind the fence.
sure. And Jim, this may also be residue from the first agreement
Yeah,
before,
yeah, it is. This red stuff is all from the first.
yeah. So this is before the court action.
Yeah, so this really needs to be rewritten to reflect
I
current
think it makes
times.
sense to ask the attorney if that's even, is it
Necessary.
enforceable, and then who's going to?
My
Go count them.
1903 Oldsmobile's not going behind the fence.
Yeah, but are you counting your buses as,
What's that?
are you counting your buses in your count?
Nothing?
Buses.
The school bus.
Non-passenger cars.
I'm sure Vince counted them.
Okay, let's move on to the screen fenced area. We know we have 2 sides that are visible from Route 12. The north side, which runs parallel to the road to the shop, and the east side, which runs parallel to Route 12, more or less.
I was hoping for a fence by the shop like we talked, and then an L shape
Yes,
there with a gate, 20-foot, 20-foot opening for a gate. Would be a pipe coming out 10 feet with a brace, with a sign to keep out.
okay. Okay, so that takes care of 2 sides. And I think that's part of what we're looking for, and,
I thought the testimony was the part of there's sort of that corner area, as you're going up the driveway, we first see that it's only slightly viewed from Route 12 that we would allow vegetation, but that the rest of it was going to have a physical barrier as a fence.
You're talking about that?
I'm talking about everything except this corner here, but all this.
So you're saying fully enclosed?
What's that?
You're saying fully enclosed?
Fully enclosed. If you look at salvage yards, they're fully enclosed. Except when he wants, Ms. Cowdrey wants to have a fence, a gate, so allow him to have a gate somewhere.
Probably on that side, I
Well,
assume.
it would be nice if it was,
The gate will be coming out of the shop, so we can go from the, right to the shop.
Yeah.
otherwise we are going to have problems controlling the size of the lot. So I asked him, he can use sheet metal with cedar posts, he can put up cage fencing or whatever he wants to do, but
Well,
I think there needs to be a permanent physical barrier.
the truck body down there is being moved up, put right on the end of that other building. And there's a space.
We're asking for a fence.
Yeah, I mean, the suggestion is it a 450-foot fence that encloses the whole area, or is it a, you know,
Two-sided fence with.
or, two,
Right.
2.25 fence?
Theoretically, on the south side, the vegetation would screen.
I mean, I understand Tom's point, and certainly from a safety issue to keep people out, it's not a bad idea, but it is, yeah.
Okay, so we have, how do we sort of reach an agreement here?
How tall do you want the fence?
That's, Dave, what's going on right now is that one person is saying he wants a fence on all four sides. There's another approach to have maybe three sides with the vegetation on that south side. I understand your point with keeping the points very clear, and they become very clear when there's a fence around them.
I would agree with, it's clearly defined, you can't go past the border if the fence is there.
Yeah.
So then the size of the yard wouldn't change.
Because you're gonna run into this problem is your vehicle's a foot or 2 feet too wide. And all of a sudden.
Right.
It's
Two vehicles.
That's why you come and inspect, you said you're gonna be inspected, so.
Right.
So, the whole thing's gonna be policed, so it ain't like it's gonna be set today and then it freaks,
Would you be willing to start with three sides, and since at the end of the year, we're going to inspect it? Require fencing at that point?
If the attorney agrees with that.
Okay.
I think it's a requirement.
Yeah, I would like to know if there is a requirement on it. If there's not, I'm happy to.
The state statute says screening.
It's very vague.
And then
It's
screening
very vague.
could be the natural vegetation.
You guys set up what you want.
Let me read it.
I don't think you necessarily need to, it's just, I think, as Jim and I both say, I don't want to speak for Jim, but it's a matter of encroachment and a matter of safety.
Clyde, do you have any thoughts on that?
Not particularly, it seems to be going forward.
So the fence all the way around, it means I gotta have one out there.
We can do a straw poll.
Yeah.
What did you say? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Say a fence all the way around, that means I gotta have more than one gate.
Would you be agreeable to that?
I don't think it needs a fence all the way around. I'm surrounded by family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs that we'll talk about. Where the topography, natural growth of timber, or their natural barrier screens the salvage yard from view in part, the legislative body shall, upon granting the certificate of approved location, require the applicant to screen only those parts of the salvage yard not screened.
So that's screen. But is there anything different in terms of containment or fencing, on screen?
Well, it says a fence or vegetation around it. Should we throw it to the legal counsel?
Why don't we just do a straw poll? See, I mean, if most people want 3 sides, let's go with that. No, I'm serious. I mean, I don't think we should.
I'm split. I mean, from a safety perspective, I think it should be fenced in. From a containment perspective, I think it should be fenced in. But it also feels like a burden.
A what?
A burden. A burden that, the state doesn't necessarily require us to enforce.
Yeah, I agree with you that as I was just saying privately to Tom and Mandy, that when we get down to the very bottom, we are approving this proposed certificate for 1 year, and then it will be a review. And at that time, during the review, we find that there's been any sort of confusion about where things are, then we can come back and require all 4 sides.
Well, I got until November to move a certain amount of cars. So then the car count will have to be figured.
So I have a question. If it's only done on 2 sides, what, is it gonna be a bit of a shifting and moving yard? Do you see what I'm saying? Like in my mind, when I think 150 by 75, it's a clearly defined area. How is that gonna be clearly defined without a fence around it, I guess?
I think we're saying 3 sides for a fence.
Okay.
Why not? If I have a fence down through here, and fence out through here, fence going in it. I mean, I'm smart enough to know where 75 feet is, it'll be marked off. I mean, I can stake it off till I know where it is,
So we're gonna do a 3-sided, we should at least have 4 permanent poles, steel poles, painted.
2 sides is what it really needs, is down the front, the gate here, and down this side, by my house, comes out here. The back side, there's nothing there, and then through this gate here, this back will always stay open because I have to go up here and up on the hill. Get wood and stuff like that. That would be the ideal thing.
I think we're moving toward 3 sides with permanent poles for workers.
Which, can you just, on the picture, explain which the 3 sides, just so I make sure I get it.
I would say
You can put markers, put posts.
the shop side,
Shop side is a gate.
and then these 2 short 75-foot sides.
Okay.
And then the vegetation.
So I guess and I'm not trying to throw to the monkey wrench. I'll get my wrenches back later. Does the uphill 75-foot section really need a?
Is it needed?
And is that where he's saying he goes off
I think
into the
that's what
woods
he
too?
wants. I think he wants a gate there.
Yeah, so
Well,
there'd be a permanent post
Yeah,
here,
or the
here.
school
What's 2 gates?
Would there be a gate here? Because I think he goes
Right,
out
Dave?
into the woods
Put it
here.
out the back
You can't
side.
show him the.
Yeah, sure. Where'd you want the second gate? You were just talking about, so you got the gate here by the body shop.
Right here.
You want the other gate? Yes, you're correct.
Going up on the
Up their
hill.
side.
Yep.
But what if we had this fence here, and then we just stake this out,
Fine if it
put
was
a,
two
just
sides,
a,
but it was
you know,
permanent.
like a wire fence or, you know, not a solid
So
fence.
fence.
It's just a
Fence here,
permanent marker.
fence there.
Yeah.
And permanent
I
marker.
think Mr. Cowdrey's made a suggestion that would be a fence erected, right, on the 300-foot section along the driveway, the 75-foot section closest to the road, and that the rest of it be staked out with a wire to show the edge.
Yeah, something just to mark it out, right?
So not a full fence, but just, like a cow fence.
You're still trying to sell that? What?
No, I got field fence, I can tell.
Yeah. I mean, if it's staked out just like a pasture cow fence, then
Right.
Yeah.
it's, the containment is visual, right?
But, you
And
know,
then if there were 4 permanent posts
Posts
in the
on
ground,
every
so that
corner, yeah.
clearly defines it, and then there's the wire.
leave it open to change if you don't like it.
Right.
You know, if you come up there and you don't like what it looks like because of something, you know,
But they're asking for permanent posts also.
Yeah, the corners will be
4 permanent
Yeah,
posts in each corner.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
So we need to define what the fence looks like.
correct.
So I asked you this at our last meeting to give us an idea of what you would like to have for a fence. I had suggested you can put 4x4s in the ground and take some steel roofing.
that's
You-
what I got.
So what you tell us now, we're gonna put in as a condition.
Right.
Okay, so think about what you're gonna tell us.
Some of it's gonna be aluminum roofing. Oh, I'll show you a picture from the home. I've got some aluminum roofing like that, and then I got the corrugated roofing. So I was thinking 6 feet.
So too high,
What's that?
too high.
Oh, yeah.
6 would be the height, but about a foot off the ground, so the animals can run under it.
Mhm.
So that would almost be like a 7 foot.
And what do you think they're using for posts to tie that up to adhere to?
Oh, I got a whole mess of light poles.
Okay, great.
Well, I had a lot more, but I gave Art Homestead some when he was having his mess down there with his neighbors. I should have kept them out.
And I like language that the fence would be subject to review.
So I've got a definition that I think I heard written down, but I don't know if we agreed to it. So what I think we heard as a suggestion is 4 permanent posts in the corner. Steel posts.
The posts that I got, are light poles, because so they last forever.
Oh, so you want to use light poles in the corners?
Well, that's what I have.
Okay, great, sure.
Just a stupid question, what's the light pole made out of?
It's a telephone pole.
Telephone pole? All right, so not steel.
No, just
I'm
a- just-
not gonna put it, I'm not putting in material.
Well, I'm gonna say 4 permanent.
4 permanent posts in the corners,
Corner.
2 fence sides at 6 feet or more, all right? And then stakes and wire on the other 2 sides.
Yeah, I'm a little hesitant on the wires. I don't want it to be a potential hazard. Just leave it in there for now.
And it would be the uphill 75-foot side, and really the side kind of where your house is, right, facing that.
Now we have the solid wall toward the house.
Yeah, the house would have the solid wall, so
Solid wall.
looking at the property from the body shop, the fence would be like this.
Yeah,
And then.
My shop here will have a 20-foot gate.
So,
This will be solid, this will be solid, this will be solid.
so
Then have a post here and a post up here in the corner.
Martin, we need another diagram that would be based on, the photo. That would actually be clear about, which two sides are going to have the fence at this point, where the potential gate would be, and,
The width of the gate.
If we label them like side 1, 2, 3, and 4, or A, B, C, and D,
yeah, and we can
put it in.
continue to use northeast corner, northwest corner, but let's put it on the map so that, there's no question about,
Which side?
I'm going to twist it around when I'm looking at it this way. Okay,
We'll get that, we'll get the letters put on there.
okay. I think that, just given the nature of how the conversation is going, we
just
need,
so I remember in a week what I thought we agreed to.
okay, we're moving beyond that.
There's some stuff up here. Hold on.
Item 6, this is sort of a repeat.
Yeah.
We don't know if we need it. Yeah, I would advocate,
That's not, yeah.
regulate number 6. Okay.
Because you're saying that 2 and 3 together.
Yeah.
Account for that, right?
Okay.
So we're silent on is when do the cars get into this area? 5 minutes. What's the deadline? Do you have an answer to that, Dave?
What's that?
When are you gonna move the cars into this enclosure?
Assuming this is approved,
Well,
let's just say,
by the time it's approved, it's gonna be in the winter.
No,
Well, we're gonna approve something, but then he's gonna go through a state process.
Right, but I can't spend money that I don't have to build a fence and then the state say no. So,
let me just try.
So I gotta get-
Because I think that's an important point, if you can't. My suggestion is you drop those corner posts in now. And I think that would go a long way for all of us to know there
It's
are the
defined,
corners.
yeah.
And then
but what I
you can hang the fence on it once we know the timeline for when the approval would be.
well, I can do that, and then I can organize the cars that are gonna be there, because I'm gonna be moving all the cars out by next week out of there,
Okay,
and Martin might already heard about my sister's property up Lord's Road.
In the culvert.
There's a culvert,
Yeah.
okay? Well, there's a mound of sand this high, probably 30 feet down the road.
Not like every culvert in town with the rain this summer.
Okay. I'm going up and I'm gonna capture all that. Bring it down, spread it, level things out.
Yep.
Like I've been for years. You notice the culvert foot the hills, nice and clean usually.
Yes.
we can't say this is subject to DEC's approval. We still need to know when it's going to be moved in.
yeah, I have an action item, is we need to figure.
So they say you get permission from the state. How long will it take you do you think, to move the cars into this salvage area?
Oh, I can get the cars that are gonna be junk cars in there this fall.
Oh,
But to
okay.
get all the fence built, I might not be able to.
But you can have the posts to define where the fence
Well-
is.
The one post is questionable because the distance, when we talked, we might have to move it up the hill.
So this was this is the area you wanted it to be in.
Right, but the well barrels as well.
Right, the state, so the part of the well, the state will worry about that measurement. So at this point, this is the measurement you want.
Yes.
It's a little tricky, right?
Yeah.
So we've got a site plan,
Mm-hmm.
right? We sign off on it. Now the state's gotta do their thing. If the site plan is too close to a well, the whole site plan may need to move.
That's right.
So to put posts in and do fencing now might be premature. If the state says, forget it, we're not gonna approve a salvage yard, then the whole thing is moot and, yeah.
Okay. Or Dave, you could do is just for now is get some, those green T-posts, we call them, like they use, for fencing.
Oh, I
You
got
put-
one of them. Stuck in there.
Put 4 of those in where it is now, so the state can see where you're
Yeah,
thinking
I
of
got
putting
some
it.
of them steel fence posts.
Yeah.
Put those in the 4 corners.
Put those in the 4 corners.
Paint the top of them with a bright pink or orange.
Yeah,
Take
So
some
people can see
surveyor
it.
tape.
Yep, something so people can see them.
yeah,
And then we can site out.
because down where the Toyota pickup trucks, that's on the side of that's why that pile of light poles, I gotta move all of them.
Yeah.
And, I wanna level it out and have a little swale, so the water can drip through there.
Okay,
All right.
yeah, I believe we're on item 7, the old 7.
Yeah.
That's suggested by the state. On that part. Item 8 is, just
I
legal
don't
language.
know if Vincent's part of the state that would allow, because the next time he comes, I can explain to him what we've been talking about.
Yes, that would be great.
If you have those stakes in before he comes
Yeah,
and let him do the measurements on the wells, that would save everybody a lot of, that way we know if we have to move it one way or the other.
And I may reach out to Vince and ask that one of us be walk with Vince when he's here, so we understand, and we voice our concerns, so that we're as in sync as possible.
Vince is not really happy with me because he's the one who told us to get a used car license, then he sat right there in court. Looked right
Okay,
at me.
I'm not gonna go there, Dave. On that part.
I'm telling you, that's what I'm working against.
Okay, so, what we are adding is that kind of yellowish brown at the bottom. This certificate of approved location is valid for 1 year from the date set forth. This call can be renewed by the town select board after review of the past year's activities as well as a site visit. And again, that's my language, so legal folks can. On that part. Okay. Everybody set for now? Yep. Okay. So our next steps.
Let me just ask you. So we've got, kind of changes that we've talked about here. Some have to go to the attorney. There might be a question here for the state. Are you doing a follow-up on that? So,
Yes, I will, and if you and I can work on a clean copy based on what we decided today, I think that would be really good. Okay, and we'll get rid of the Christmas tree colors and try
try to go all one.
Okay. Clyde, you're all set? Yep. Now, so let me just restate what our next steps are. The select board will, take the input from our discussion tonight, create a clean document. I will be contacting the state to clarify, some questions, which I have here. And then once we are ready for that, we'll send it to our attorneys for legal review.
Correct.
The next car count will be more important than the one he just did a while ago.
I agree, and I will ask Vince to be on site when he's for his next site visit, so we can be in sync. And then at that point, we would have a final vote on the document for that part.
And any one of you can stop up at any time and see the progress, you know, just,
Okay.
like Martin knows how to get there.
I do.
You even buy a car while you're
There you go. I just need your credit card.
Yeah, thanks.
Singer's been there plenty of times.
Well, it's now help officer, we had a
Okay.
lieutenant from hell on that property.
Right, tell you why she couldn't plug the septic.
No, they don't want to hear that.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah, we'll be talking.
Thank you very much.
We'll get you a clean copy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to,
And if you need anything, call me.
Yep, I will. Thank you.
Okay, see you.
yes, have a good evening.
See you.
This is our first budget.
Budget update, yeah, July of the fiscal year 2024. So the first two sheets are the revenues for the general fund. As you notice, there's a very large number under current taxes. I'm waiting for the assessment from the state to tell me how much I owe the school. That will be taken out of there and put into a liability account. We have to cut a check 20 days after our collection of taxes to the school. So I will cut them 2 checks, one in September, one in February. And then I get a balance sheet in August or in April of whether I owe the school money or they owe us money. But I usually hold $100,000 and then square it up from there.
So why isn't the actual number, the actual taxes you've collected? Because up above on rent, it's the actual rent you've collected.
It's how the system works. That's how NIMRIC works. When I send the bills through, the money from the bills that were billed in tax admin crosses over to the general ledger. I have no control over that. It's how the system is set up.
So that's the anticipated amount of taxes to be collected
For the school and the town.
for the fiscal year 24.
That's correct. So
Yep.
the 1,612,492 is for the town only on the left column. The budget, that's what we voted on.
And the balance is for the school?
For the general fund.
For the general fund and the highway fund, yes. So when we, oh no, general fund, right, because the highway fund has their own, yes, so that's for the general fund. So there's money that we're raising, we have the,
So you park the school money in the general fund.
well, that's just where it came in from tax admin. So tax admin does all the work and it throws it to there.
Just make a public statement so people know what we're talking about. On the revenue side and the general fund, there's an item labeled current taxes. And when I almost spilled my coffee this morning when I realized, wow, we are doing so well. The amount we're talking about is $10,037,955.21. So what we're realizing that is 80% of it or 70% is going to the school, and the remainder is really the town portion of that. The whole is the taxes we collect as a community, and then the rest is that. Okay.
Correct. So we're,
Shucks, I dreamed for a little bit.
so we're at 8% of the budget for the 1 month. We've actually collected, if you take out that part, we've actually collected $156,000. So we've collected about 6% of the revenue where we're supposed to be at 8%, but it will catch up by the end of the year. Any questions on the revenue? Next.
Yeah, no, I talked to earlier.
Next is the general fund. The general fund, you can see, is at, it says 8.22%, but on page 1 and 2, under assessment, you'll see I have to prepay dues and memberships at the beginning of the fiscal year. So those will slowly catch up throughout the year as it has in the past. So if we remove the prepays that we have to prepay ahead of time, the actual budget's at 6% for the general fund. So we're 2% under where we're budgeted for at this point.
When do the appropriation payments begin?
Those will go out on the second select board meeting in September. Those will be all paid, and we only pay half the fire department and half the rescue squad, and then they get the other half in February. So, after we collect the first payment on September 8th. Any questions on the general fund? The highway revenue is rather interesting. So I got my first quarter of the new fiscal year from the state, second week of July. And then a week later, they sent me the same amount a second time, which I thought was rather odd. So I reached out to Rita about it, and she wasn't sure. And I sent an email to the state, and I haven't heard back yet. I don't know if they're paying the second quarter ahead of time to help towns out with the flooding. I'm not quite sure why they sent me 2 quarters right off the bat.
Well, thank you, a little something, because on the clerk's list that I'm still on,
Yes.
they said they decided because of the damages from the storms, they were gonna send out the second quarter payment
nice.
early.
Be nice if the state would send out a letter or something stating that. So we have 2 quarters of the highway fund from the state right now. So that won't change again until January. We'll get the next payment in January. So the highway revenue, the tax side of it will obviously increase when I collect the taxes here. The expenses for the highway is next. As you can see, subcontractor.
What page?
I'm on page 1 of 3.
I think it's the last,
The last set of sheets, yes.
Yeah.
The culverts, is over budget when you see, the next month's, and, subcontract is gonna be over budget when you see it next month. FEMA at this point has not included any other floods since the 17th of July. They're still talking about it at the state level. I spoke with a gentleman last week who called looking for, if we needed help getting rid of trash, and said they're trying not to set a precedent, so I don't think FEMA knows how to move forward and have it covered. So, Bill was out Friday and Monday. Him and I are gonna come up with a plan tomorrow, and we're just gonna have to move forward. He sent out an RFP for Reeves Road and Jennyville Road to get them back up to state statute. And we're just gonna have to move forward. We're properly documenting everything. We're doing everything as the FEMA rules wants. So if they do put us under this event, Bill and I can put the paperwork together. We have all the pictures, so we can put the diary together and move forward with the FEMA event. Today, best road was getting the culvert in. It's the last road that needed a culvert. I don't know when it's gonna be open, whether it'll be by the end of this week. I'm hoping. It's put back together. They were up on Advent today, doing some work on Advent, I was told. And Town Farm, they're still working, trying to make that so it's a little bit better. On Jennyville, we're putting a new culvert in near Steve Allen's because it's just too small. We believe there's ledge under there, so Richard Sargent, I believe Bill reached out to fix that. So that's why Jennyville has stayed so rough, because we didn't want to dig it up and put it together. So we're hoping to get that culvert in this week, and then we can get Jennyville up in better shape.
right, but the big project is bringing the whole road back up to state.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
So Jennyville Reeves, what about Densmore Hill?
Densmore, I gotta talk to Bill tomorrow. I'm gonna have him I'm gonna ask him if he wants the town guys to do it or them. We have people that have been on vacation. We're down a guy. So we're doing as best we can, but I think tomorrow I'm gonna ask him, how can we get 60 days to get these roads so they're plowable and so people aren't blowing tires and having issues like that. And we appreciate the patience. And we're, like I said, tomorrow.
We really don't know. So the assumption today is we're not getting people, right?
Yes, that's correct. That's the assumption I'm going under. I am doing the projects as if I'm going to get paid, but at this point.
Well, they gotta get done.
Right, they gotta get done, right. We gotta move forward.
So do we have a ballpark yet on the costs?
I'm gonna say conservatively 200,000. it's gonna be less than that, but I'd rather go high and come in low.
I don't want to get too far off track here, because we're in the summer grade, we're coming into the town manager's report. But I do think, Martin, once we have a clear plan for that next phase, I think we ought to publicize it so that people know. I'm at the point where I don't know one road in town that hasn't been
Absolutely.
affected one way or the other.
And it keeps raining, so we can't even get out and grade and fix those roads because it keeps raining.
Yeah. And I just, as we look down the road and from what little bits I'm listening to from the state, I think because of the FEMA piece, the state is going to be looking to reach into their coffers to fix an awful lot of things, which could mean that grants that we would be looking for on other projects may not materialize in the next fiscal year.
But I do want to let folks know that please call FEMA if you have driveways that have washed out. They released a document on Friday that they were going to help people with driveways that have washed out.
Yeah.
So if you have a neighbor or know someone that needs it, please call FEMA.
Okay. Great.
So those two obviously can move up, but you can see the highway department's still under budget through the end of July at this point. Any questions on expenses in the highway department?
Well, thank you. No questions. Let's go on to policing in Hartland, and we have both Mandy and Tom. Mandy, you want to take the lead?
Sure. So far, we've had a couple of officers come in to speak with us. We invited Chief Frank from Windsor Police Department to come in and speak with us about the SRO program, because they're the agency that we use for the SRO program at the school.
What is SRO?
Sorry, Student Resource Officer. So it's an officer that goes in and deals with any issues that occur at the school, and also are able to assist teachers or students as needed. We've also invited Sheriff Palmer to come in to speak with us about Windsor County Sheriff's Office. A lot of the things that he came in to speak with us about, just so that the group could kind of have that same information as well. At our last meeting, we decided on the top areas of sort of concern, or areas that we wanted to focus our energy on, which we'll be doing at the next meeting, which is next Monday, the 28th. So hopefully our Zoom will work. Our Zoom did not work at the last meeting, so we scrambled to pull a Teams meeting together so that the few members that sign on remotely were still able to do so that we were still able to have a meeting. I think that's sort of a quick breakdown. The next meeting will look further at the number of calls and kind of group them into sort of high priority or violent related calls, drug related calls, those sort of things, so that we can have, instead of a broad picture of calls, where it might be family fight, domestic violence, those sort of things, we're going to group those type of calls together. So we're looking at, narrowing down the information a bit.
Great.
I think that's it.
Good.
And you captured it well.
I'm excited that you guys are, and the committee is making progress. Mandy, when do you think we might have the town-wide discussion on this?
Well, I would like to think a few more meetings, we would be able to gather enough information to then have a townwide meeting to present it. And then you and I spoke again about after that meeting, having one more committee meeting prior to then passing the information on to the board.
Great. Good, important stuff. And I'm thank you both for moving this. I was going to use the word shepherding along, but I have to be careful about using my old cheap references. Okay, any questions, Jim, Clyde, for Mandy or Jim? Okay, good. Any questions on, hold on, sure, anything on?
No, Helen said thank you, Mandy.
You're welcome, thank you.
Sure.
The minutes are very informative.
Yes.
From these committees that were on the line.
Chris Nippenberg
They're excellent.
does a wonderful job. I did the first minutes and she is like a rock star with the minutes. They are impeccable, very detailed. So if you're not able to make the meeting, certainly online, Brian posts them for us. So.
Great. Good, thank you. Okay, going on to new business. We postponed the discussion with the planning committee on their appointments. And hopefully that will come around next time. Martin, do you want to lead us through the two leases that are?
Yes, so I got them correct this time. We have a lease for the Four Corners Children's Center and the Cooperative Nursery School above the rec. They're the exact same contracts as last year. The price hasn't increased. There are typos in the contract. I apologize ahead of time. Val already signed them, so we couldn't get hold of her in time to redo it. So they will be correct next year. But this year, if the select board would sign them, we'll just keep moving forward as we have in the past 3 years with these contracts. 3 years, I believe, we've been doing the contract.
And you said it has not increased, correct?
It has not. It's an identical contract that was signed last year. I got the originals here for you folks to sign. Those copies are for you to go over. We have corrected the numbering issues on it and the spelling errors. And
how long has she been there for?
well, as long as I can remember.
The center was started by Tina Morrow. You guys can help me with this. And I don't know if she passed the Val before Tina passed away or at that time. And I don't know if there was another intermittent operator, but it's been a while.
How long has this lease and these
3
amounts
years.
been? Oh, okay. And previous to that, we charged nothing.
Yeah, there was no charge. That's correct.
So Val Randy is also the board treasurer. Okay.
Yes, she got, so she wasn't, she went off and now she's back on. So that's correct.
We should have a motion.
Would someone like to make a motion?
Just a quick discussion, it's like for next year, I think we ought to at least have, opinion from legal counsel about whether a $300,000 liability policy is adequate in this day and age, and that's in both contracts. And then just an observation that, the budget estimate for the cost of the activity center is, just from memory, $12,000.
12,600 to 10,200.
And then the income is $10,200. So the actual costs are variable depending on how much building maintenance we do in a given year.
Mm-hmm.
But it appears like this is still a loss for us. So,
Right. Yeah, in the last couple of years, we've been putting renovations. We've been addressing certain renovations that have been needed.
and on the horizon, we have the potential for a new roof on that building.
Mm-hmm. Okay, is there a motion to?
I make a motion to approve the lease with the Four Corners Children's Center and the lease with the Hartland Community Cooperative Nursery School.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
This is
Mandy.
for fiscal year 24.
24.
They run on a fiscal year, right?
Yes, it did. The lease does, yes.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Then we'll pass along the documents for people to sign.
Provided.
When we're finished, you can lead us to the next step.
Absolutely.
I'll introduce it.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item under new business is the underground utilities ordinance. This is obviously new to the town, and it was brought to our attention that since we are taking the steps to bury the utilities in our new intersection out there, that we needed an ordinance so that if a future provider came into the area and wanted to string their wires up on poles, that we would have an ordinance that would prohibit that. So, Martin, do you want to sort of give us any more background and history?
Sure. So, I asked Rita about it, the ordinance, or she recommended it. She sent me Bradford's ordinance. So this is a copy of Bradford's ordinance, except I sent it to our lawyer. I spoke with Everett, the engineer that's here from GPI, and talked to him about how to properly proceed for the future. So if you look at page 3, we have it set up from the center of the intersection, down 600 feet down Route 5 South, up Route 5 North, up the Queechee Road and Route 12. That 600 feet has to be underground, and extra roads, like take Durfee Road, you have to go up 100 feet before the first telephone pole can be put up, or a pole can be put up. So we're trying to keep if a new provider came into town, they can't just come in, set up a pole, set up a wire and go. So there'll be no poles in the center section, in the green section. And you can see we have a enforcement for penalty on it. The way the ordinance works is I have to post it in 5 places, 5 public places, and it has to be on our website. We have 45 days for petitions made. We'll have to have a public meeting. And
Sorry, Mark, did you say we have to have a public meeting?
if there's a petition against this,
Okay.
if there's a petition against the ordinance within the 45 days, we'd have to have a public meeting and it'd be voted on yay or nay. If there's no petition, at 60 days, the ordinance is part of our ordinances for the
Assuming
town.
we pass it tonight.
Yep, assuming that it passes tonight, that's correct. I have to post it in the Valley News, so it'll be posted in the Valley News within the next 10 days. I'm not quite sure what else with the ordinance there is.
So it has to be posted in 2 weeks in the new Valley News.
Yes, that's correct. And that's the first page that you saw without a number on it is what's going to be in the Valley News. It's not numbered.
Okay. So what do you need from us tonight?
I need a motion to accept this ordinance and to follow and then
we sign it.
you
once
sign
it's-
it, yes.
So we sign it tonight?
Yep, you sign it tonight, we're gonna pass it and sign it tonight, and then I'll start filling out the history as we go on through here.
Okay.
And then if we, like I say, if we have a petition, we'll have to have a public meeting. If we don't, 60 days, it'll be 60 days from today, it'll be October 20th, I believe.
Okay.
So have you posted it?
I will tomorrow.
Because it was posted on the 21st in the ordinance,
That's today.
but you're gonna post it tomorrow.
Yes,
So that's the 22nd.
yes.
Is there enough room in the conduit for additional users?
If the utilities companies want to share.
So, but there is.
Yes, they're 2-inch or 2.5-inch conduits.
And 5.
And 5, yeah, there's some 5-inch conduits too, yeah. So, yes, there is.
So I make a motion to approve the Town of Hartland's underground utility ordinance. As written.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We've taken the first step to an underground utility line ordinance. Thank you, Martin, for getting this moving forward. And thank you, Rita, for bringing it to our attention.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Why do you keep looking at Jim? What's he doing?
You know what I want for Christmas? He's picking up the tab. Okay, great. Let's move on to the town manager update.
Okay. As a reminder, I just wanted to bring this to attention. I don't know if the board wants to do it. September 4th, Monday, is Labor Day. Did the board want to change the meeting to Tuesday, the 5th?
So it's actually gonna be Wednesday, the 6th.
Oh, Wednesday, the 6th? Oh, I was
Because the
way up.
5th, we got the interview.
We have,
Oh, that's right, yes. So, no, that's right, yes.
Oh, because of the interview?
yeah, it's gonna be all day, and so, you know,
Not
We don't wanna
working-
do
You're
all
not
day
working all
and
day.
all
I
night.
know, okay. So what does the board please to do for the first select board meeting?
it'll be Wednesday, the 6th, correct?
Wednesday the 6th, 5:30.
Comfortable.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's what we talked about.
So that's one that absolutely has to be posted since it's not on our.
And
Right,
it's not
yeah.
the normal.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. The roads are a working model with the exception of Reeves, obviously, because the rocks, we don't have the smaller rocks on it. It's a harder road to run up. Best Road, the culvert was supposed to be installed today. Jim said he saw him down there doing that.
Yep. 4-footer.
Yep, 4-footer. Hopefully Best Road will be open all the way through within the next day or two, and when they get it all covered in. It should be going. Clyde asked about contractors who have helped. I forgot to put the volunteer fire department on there as they tried to clean out some culverts on Town Farm with water. It didn't work, but they tried. If there's anybody I missed, I apologize, but that's the list that, Twin State Gravel stayed open all day the 22nd for us. And we pretty much depleted them of his larger rocks, so that was very nice that they stayed open for us. As I said, the FEMA event is still not added. Hartland, Middlebury, Rutland. At this point, Middlebury and Rutland flooded the week after us. So we will keep our ear to the ground and see when what happens. I believe Phil Scott is still working hard to get us covered. The CPAs have finished the review. They've given me the report. I've been through it. I've had a couple of questions. She's made a couple of changes. I got a couple more questions. So that's going to be pretty well set for the current fiscal year.
When do you expect the final?
Hopefully the October, maybe the second meeting in September. I gotta get my end wrapped up here. Great news. The roadside mower does not need an engine. The DEF fluid filter was plugged and the computer wasn't talking properly to the one computer to another. They dug a little deeper and found that out. So it should be delivered in the next day or two. So that's fantastic news. And it should be covered under warranty. They weren't sure. They were still fighting with John Deere over that. but it should be covered under. The Fred Coley property we spoke about, back in May, I believe. Come to find out, the court order was renewed. I was wrong. It was renewed. The court order orders them, it's like $89,000 for fines against the property. Roy wants to sell the property. He would like the town, if possible, to accept $30,000 when he sells it, or 50-50. So say it's sold for $40,000, the town would get $30,000, he'd get 10. If it sold for $100,000, the town would get $50,000, Coley's would get $50,000.
It was, we heard, I don't think we have any evidence of this, but there was an agreement between him and David.
So they talked about doing that, because David brought this to the board, that's correct, back, had to be 2 years ago. I think he brought it to the board, and the board, I think, passed on it that night and didn't really make a decision on it. So he's back again asking if the board would do that.
But is it the same terms as back then?
Yes, that's correct. And then the indemnifying statement, he said he would be okay with if he could do it closer to the close of sale, so that way he wouldn't lose the sale at the time. And he's okay going with that.
What was Hartland's actual expense associated with cleaning that property?
I don't know that answer. I remember one town report, there was $75,000 budgeted.
Can we get that, or is it possible to get that information, what the cost was?
Yeah.
I think at a minimum, we should try to at least recoup our costs.
I don't think you will, because I don't think you're self for that. No.
I mean, you got a polluted property there.
Sorry?
You have a polluted property that, our actions could have contributed to it.
Yes, that's what he's afraid of too. So when we go to pick up a piece of equipment and it started dripping oil or something like that.
And I don't know this,
I disagree.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I thought that some things were crushed on site. Is that accurate?
that's not accurate.
It's not accurate.
I think it was hauled away.
Everything was all the way in front.
Okay.
So Martin, are you asking us for a decision tonight on?
We're gonna go with a decision or think about it, and I'll bring it up at the next meeting.
The best case would have to have a proposal in writing, right? If we're gonna make a decision on something.
Yeah, I can get that. Put that in
From
writing.
Mr. Kohler?
Well,
You
I'll put it together for the 30,000 and the 50-50. I'll sit down with Roy and ask him to go over it.
Yeah, our legal guy might have to look at that before that goes to
Right.
Mr. Cole.
Yep. So if something was put forward to that to the board, they'd be accepted for this? Acceptable?
I mean, we'd have to have a discussion.
Yeah,
Discussion. Okay.
yeah, I understand what Mandy and Tom are saying, but I'm also just trying to be a bit of a realist with this property that is saying, let's get, we almost had nothing.
Because I was going, it sold for $100,000, which I don't think it will, but we had $50,000 or $60,000 in cost. We just capture whatever our costs were, and then he gets it down.
Right. Yeah, I'll find out what the cost is.
So what I would suggest is we would do something like what our cost was, so we would gain our costs, or if anything above and beyond that.
And he would cover the real estate agent fees and stuff like that.
Yeah, because we don't own it, so
Right,
that's all
yeah.
his costs.
Right, that's his cost. Yeah.
So,
And so, Helen has been asked where the Coley property is. It's at the end of Weed Road, just as you enter Weed Road on the left and the right-hand side.
yeah, I think a little's across the street,
Oh, yeah, I think it is.
the house there.
Oh, that's his too?
I think
I'm not sure if that is.
No, I don't think that is. No, I think his is only on the,
What's that, French's? I don't think so. Is across the street,
Across the street owns some,
is that French?
Mike, the other brother, Jeff,
Yeah.
he owns across the street, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think that was part of
And he
it.
also owns it down to, Smittings, the field where the Christmas.
Oh, really? Yeah. Huh. And then she also said she's worried about the oil drips here, but not about the other junkyard. Oh, why are we worried about the oil drips here and not the other junkyards? Three Corners is moving along quickly. The curbing took them like 16 hours. It was unbelievable to watch how they did the curbing. It was unbelievable how much curbing they did in it just took them 2 days, Thursday and today. They were out of here at 2:30. They're hoping to start the sidewalks this week. They will not be working tomorrow, but they will be back Wednesday, strong.
Martin, did they work today?
Yes, they did they finished the curbing.
Because I came in from the south for the meeting and, there was just a lot of rubble on the road, right by the intersection, just stone.
All right.
To kind of get your tires.
Get your tire. I'll take a look out there. The telephone, I just want a reminder that when the knots get done with the construction project, the telephone pole will still be standing. That's in the center. The utility companies need to run the wires and come in and take them down. Utility companies are not responding to when they are going to do that. And I've asked Rita to send them an email at least twice a week to set a date and get this rolling.
Did they sign a contract that said that it would be done by a certain time?
There's no contracts with the utilities. They've just given proposals.
Contract with Green Mountain
Green
Power,
Power.
but
Not the other, okay.
Right, yeah. So, we're sort of at their mercy, but, we were also told that we could write a letter to the public service board. And they don't like those letters and they will come down and work on it a whole lot quicker. So I'm hoping not to pull the nuclear button, but, so I just want people to know that that pole will still be standing when the knots leave.
So I would suggest that it's not called the Public Utilities Commission, is that we give them a date certain and say, we don't hear from you by this date, we're gonna be sending a letter to them. Just to get their attention.
Yeah, I will tell Rita to put that in her email. I told her not to be very nice, keep harassing them.
In our bi-weekly harassment.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
We know how well VTEL handles things because the main cable up Jennyville is held up in a tree by a rope, so.
Well, Mr. Merritt's had that problem. He called them today. They put him off again, tried to use some excuses. She said, never mind, I'll call the Public Service Board. She called them back an hour later and they were coming up in the next day or two. Well, they gotta get dig safe first and then they're coming up. So it seems to work. Mascoma Bank contacted Cheryl Perry today. Our bank information was not hacked, but it was looked at from an outside service. So I have to get new checking account number and savings account numbers for the town.
Great.
So just more of an FYI. There's been nothing fraudulent. I look at the account every morning when I come in, so if anything was there, I would see it right off.
How many accounts do we have?
We have a CD, a savings, the checking, and our sweep account.
And that encompasses all the funds that we have.
That's correct.
Okay.
I don't understand what you just said. Are you implying that the Hartland account was the only account that was?
No,
Okay, I didn't think you were saying that.
no, many accounts were. I'm just,
Yeah.
So you're saying
You were
I can get new
contacted by
checks.
Mascoma.
no, Cheryl Perry was contacted by Mascoma because I'm not allowed to.
Right,
but
right.
Cheryl let me know what was going on.
That's my second data
Okay,
breach
so-
mail today. then.
I'd be really scared if it was a account that was looked at.
Yeah, no,
So I'd like to go back to the intersection and
yes,
Phil,
I'm
you just
sorry.
cover your ears. What's going on with the lighting?
I can give a report.
Okay, I'll leave that in Phil's book.
The select board's gonna be out there every evening. with-
You're Monday, you're Tuesday, you're Wednesday.
Okay, how much time do you guys have? Okay, I spoke with Mr. Saladino on last Friday on the 18th. The concrete and the drainage is kind of, there's nothing really to be done. We hope the drainage was corrected. I sent him a photo of rebar and the concrete as they started to take it up last week, a real mess. I would hope that we have a clear change order with knots. You know, did they give us an estimate on that?
I don't know if they haven't. No, I know they haven't.
Okay, we need to nail that down.
But also Dan Peck said that they may try to address it using different vegetation that's on the plan that may not be as deep.
It's gonna be too late because they're digging it up right now.
Yeah, they dismissed that, I think, pretty much so. Speaking of which, I'm jumping around here, but Dan Peck did write to Martin and I today, and we had a new tree removed from the front of Damon Hall. We already had our quota of 10 trees in the intersection. Martin sat outside in his truck, and visually that tree would have blocked the traffic on Route 12.
Yeah, at stop sign.
So, plus we know the garden club is anxious to do some plantings in the area, so slight savings, one less tree. The lights. I was told on Friday that we're waiting on Green Mountain Power to get back to VHB. With Green Mountain Power has offered to present the engineering firm with a set of options for lights, for light poles, and some additional information about the lights themselves, so that in turn the engineering piece for the photometrics can be done. The state was petitioned by VHB and has agreed to be a little lenient on the permitting process, so we can actually get the permit in hand. I think maybe they would just address it straight away as opposed to be putting it into the stack. I have to be careful here, but Mr. Saladino is going to work with us to, they have a grant task force within VHB, and they're going to explore how we can get some grant money to reduce the cost of the lighting in the intersection. So I thanked him and fingers crossed. My comment before about, I've just talked with a few people over the last couple of days that with the impact of the state budget on the rains and the damage, some of these grants may be kind of stalled. And Rita is on board with the grant participation.
Yes.
So the lighting, we do have, one of the first things I did after we met last week was I did confirm that the conduits were buried to carry the electrical wires to the potential light sources. That's done.
Okay.
So
We're not digging up pavement.
No, we're not digging up next year.
Nor the sidewalks, that part. So that's what I know at this point. And
Well, thank you for all your efforts.
yeah. I said to Martin, I kissed and made up with Dave on, because I think, like any business transaction, I knew what we could push on. I had the support of you guys, and when it was time to sort of say, let's move on, what can you do for us? That's what we have right now. So, back to you.
So what's the new date for completing this project?
Without lights?
Yes, yeah,
Without
when is
lights,
not,
2 weeks,
not to be gone in 2 weeks.
maybe 3, but yeah.
So I think what's gonna be really, excuse me, I kidded somebody today, we're gonna know who the locals are versus people who are visiting. Everybody's still stopping at Beaton's.
I still stop.
So there's gonna be a lot of rear enders.
Oh, for the stop sign is ready?
Yeah,
Especially when
people
they
take
move
their
it.
right, they're still stopping right after the beaches.
Roman Catholic guild complex when I kind of thought I ran a stop sign. Wait a minute, I didn't see it.
Where I would think, boy, they knocked on the stop sign.
It's back. The one I gave is back on 12. It was down on
No,
Friday.
not about the.
Oh, by the post office.
By the post
Oh,
office, it's
yes,
not.
yeah, I know. And you're gonna look left for the cars coming around.
Yep.
When that telephone pole comes out, we're going to have a meeting outside there and finally rejoicing.
The highway department has said we're short one person. Bill and I are trying everything. I think I'm gonna try in September, throw back on Indeed, see what happens. Summer vacations, people are in and out. Some days we only have 2 guys on staff. We're staying ahead of the curve as best as we possibly can. I think the patients.
What skills are you trying to get? Like, you're trying to find somebody that already has
They need a
excavator.
I hope they can drive a CDL license. As long as you have a CDL license.
The CDL allows you to drive things, but it doesn't mean you're good with a grader or good with an excavator.
You're absolutely right, but we send them the training for that.
Okay.
There's training that they have to take before they can use the grader anyways.
Okay.
Through Vermont Trans. So we're still working on that in between vacations. So we're staying ahead of the curve as best as we can, but I do appreciate the patience of everybody in town that's been kind. And the change orders at this point is about $51,000. The pedestals that I thought were supposed to be free, the way they talked, was going to cost us $17,000.
So the 17 in addition to the.
No, the 51. So that does not include the cement removal.
Yeah.
That's not in
the 51 plus concrete removal.
Plus concrete removal, right? So the 17,000 for the pedestals is the big driver of the 51K.
What would we have in contingencies?
So
there's 7 of them.
7 contingencies? No, but generally it's like 15%.
It's 15%.
Yeah.
But, all right, I'm sorry, 17.
Yep.
What else is in the 51?
I thought I had brought it down, but I didn't bring
But
it.
it doesn't have to.
Oh, no, I do. Sorry. So I got, 17,000 for the pedestals. The elimination of the pump in D number 1 so they had to extend the pipe. So they got rid of the first one, they put the second, at the end of the library driveway, the drainage. They had to extend the pipe. He thinks it's about $2,000. $1,200 for the 12-inch, to go from 8 to 12 inch underneath where the monument was. $900 for the sidewalk over by the hairdresser because it wasn't deep enough for the roots were still sticking up and out when they dug. I couldn't believe that. Oh, the concrete is in that. I'm sorry, the concrete. So now this is just an estimate. This is Everett's best estimate at this point is $23,500. So that is part
The
of it.
removal of the concrete.
The removal of the concrete. It's an estimate at this point. The PVC, the additional underground piping was $5,500 that we want for the lights, parts and material. And then the last one was increase the thickness of the sidewalk over here from 8 to 12 is $2,400. So it's about $51,500.
Yeah, but bank paid for that for corrupting our account numbers.
Oh yeah, it's great. Well, I got 2,200 checks I gotta get them to pay for too, so.
All right, so 51K.
Yep.
Estimate. All
With the
inclusive
concrete.
change
Yep.
orders.
So that's,
There's a small credit, I mean.
yep, oh yeah, from the wall. So we'll have a small credit from the wall, so it might be just under 50,000, but for this project, yeah, that's.
Not bad.
Okay.
No, you don't.
And I'm hoping that, increasing the thickness of the material will keep it last longer, so it doesn't sink and.
More or less, the gusher we had last Friday, how did that drain, that new slope work there that they?
So it filled with water. It looked like a river going down through there. It went in the ground pretty quick. I really think in the future, we should look at putting the drainage, running the pipe down and taking it out. I think that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think
I think it should be put in the budget in the next year or two. I
Being
mean,
an exploratory, we need to know exactly where
right,
the
we're
underground pipes go right now.
gonna go, right, yeah,
And some scoping to see what shape they're in.
You're talking
yeah, right
over
here,
here.
yep.
Yeah, from
By
there
that property
back to the
line.
parking lot.
Yeah, so if you take it from there to,
So we got that
Parking lot
inch of rain
down
on
here.
Friday, and it just was a river.
Yeah.
And it doesn't set
you
right.
need to clear out here and dig and find out what's back there
Yep,
first.
right, with the architects doing this building, we should know, because there's a drain right out here, tie into that drain, it really should be dug up, done properly.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's all I got, sorry.
Don't want to say, why don't we do a change order and have Knox do that while we're here?
I can ask Everett, you're probably, I wouldn't dare guess on it,
But, because we do it later, we're gonna get mobilization charges and everything else.
that's true, yeah, I can ask Everett if something they can do,
And we have an engineer here already.
right?
Because we are right on somebody's property line here.
Yes, well, it's on our property, but
It's
just
on our
barely, but
property,
it's just,
but,
it just looks.
I agree.
So what are we suggesting is done, that we trench and bring?
So we dig down, we put in another
It's
culvert,
like culvert.
a drain,
Like PCB.
Yep, so we put in a drain, we put a drain out
house.
front.
Yeah.
Drain house, yep. We pipe it down to our drain that's in the back here, but we go down, I don't know, 4 feet, probably gotta go down, right?
I don't know, you'd have to have somebody come out here and figure out what's out there.
Right.
So
So
at the edge of the parking lot, there's a drop and then maybe a culvert there that takes water.
My concern is we get these rainstorms in the winter and that ground is frozen
Yeah.
and it's not being absorbed.
Right, oh, absolutely, now you got an isolating ring
Not only that, where's the water going?
in the house or in the Damon Hall.
So it wouldn't hurt to have somebody look at it to try to figure out what could be done. And
Right.
The complicated part could be out here.
Yeah, we can just do as, I mean, we got a lot of smart people over
Yeah,
here.
oh, yeah, Everett's right
If
on the
we can
ball.
get a general estimate, this would know.
That's all,
what
that's
we're
all I'm
doing.
asking for, instead of just waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Good idea for everyone.
Thank you, Tom.
I think we're aware that we don't want an ice skating rink in the middle of winter on town meeting day or.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. We just have, we've got a lot of things to pay for now when you start talking about the roads that we have to fix. So we've got to really think hard about priorities and, yeah, maybe this is a good one. Just get it done now because it'll be cheaper.
Yeah, and there's also, we should, as we do this research, we should make sure that the architect that we're hiring to look at this drainage issue,
mhm,
that the solution dovetails, the two parties are on board with what's going on. We were also talking potentially using any remaining ARPA funds for some of that. So there's maybe some wiggle room with how we get it done.
right, good.
On that part.
And also, and I should have brought it up earlier, I think while you're prioritizing things, I do have some concerns that you're gonna be doing all this roadside mowing, trying to get the roads in order, and you're down staff. And you may need to prioritize, like, some of the roadside mowing may not be able to get.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not gonna be a priority.
Okay, so.
No, that won't be a
Yeah.
priority, I assure you.
Okay.
If we get to it, we get to it.
Yeah,
If we
we gotta
don't,
get these roads and shit.
yes, I agree. We have 60 days to get the roads in shape. Yep, yes, I agree 100%.
Does anybody else have that?
I was going to move on to correspondence.
But I just want to throw a wrench into the past here. So in the order.
You can't do
sorry,
that, by the way.
In our orders, you've got money for broken windows in the school? Is it
Yes.
the Hartland School?
Yes,
And did we get?
we got reimbursed. We got reimbursed for the first one. I got to touch base with the police for the second one because they weren't part of the second one. The second one only came to $600.
Oh, even though they did damage inside?
So the first crash, they found out who it was.
Yeah.
She came in and paid it up last week.
Okay.
The second one, they just fixed it. I just got the bill, a touch over $600.
Yeah.
And, I gotta reach out to the police again and let them know that somebody else was,
Okay, so that person did not take responsibility for this?
No, she said the kids have not been out of parental guidance since that day.
So we had talked about having cameras.
Yes.
put in. Is that a possibility or?
I mean, we can do it, but they either throw rocks at it or they'll smash it before they.
And the camera can be on the inside of the glass.
True, inside the building, yeah.
I mean, I don't, we had talked about doing that. I mean, it would require that you pay for, probably VTEL line.
Yeah, you'd have to have some sort of internet there, and then, I mean, the camera footage would go to a cloud, so even if they threw the rock, you'd get the
Right,
picture.
get a picture of it, right, yeah.
But-
So the VTEL is gonna cost you at least $75 a month.
I think this should all be part of the North Heartland
That'd be
committee.
consolidated.
That's on our
All right.
future agenda.
Yes,
Right there is supposedly a group that was gonna be formed that's gonna look into
Yeah,
that.
the issue is this building's been damaged twice in the year.
Right.
And do I want to at least have some deterrent, to.
Okay,
I mean, I don't know, what do you guys think? Yeah, on
I really do think we need to get that group together to take a look. I don't have experience with cameras, so.
yeah, I don't either.
Um,
It's easy,
Yeah,
it's really easy. Just look
and
at it.
there's more,
Do it
there's
yourself.
highly, some that are better than others. They can all go to the cloud and be saved.
So if I got,
Some are
if I
gonna-
got internet there, would you two take on the camera?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll get internet there. If that's all right with the board.
Yeah, because the combination of the camera with the internet, that's pretty powerful stuff.
So, and Martin, well, unless you have a suggestion, I can give you a vendor to look at.
I'll leave that to you guys.
Can we get some costs first before we do this and find out like how
Yeah.
much all the
Yep.
cameras are gonna cost, internet?
Yep.
Because there's a few different types of cameras.
Clyde, you said Consolidated's up there also?
Yeah, that's who runs the telephone in North Heartland, it's consolidated.
Oh, okay, VTEL's not up there?
Well, VTEL stops at, Phil Hammond is a North Heartland number, at Sumner's Falls, so VTEL doesn't go across the interstate.
Oh, okay,
No?
all right, yep, I'll get
If
a
we
cost for
cut
the
price
internet.
out the
Okay.
internet, and then we get a couple costs for different camera systems.
The next meeting, we'll put it on there, yep, I'll put it under my notes.
Okay, is there any correspondence?
There is no correspondence.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I might have one other question. Can I just look at my notes real quick? You know what, if I have a question, I'll talk to Martin tomorrow.
okay. I would like to have the executive session to discuss briefly the upcoming interviews that we have for the town manager position.
So we need a motion.
I suppose I should just also publicly say that we are moving along with the town manager search, and we have candidate interviews that are being scheduled. So there's been progress going on. I think that's enough to be said right now. Yes, a motion would be great.
I make a motion that we move into executive session, the V.S.A. 313A3, which is appointment, employment, or evaluation of a public officer or employee.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Clyde. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.